Welcome to The Living Question. I'm your host, Jason Lee. Preston Smiles will tell you exactly how good he is, and he means it. But that's not what stayed with me. What stayed was this. Underneath all that confidence is a man who has learned to stop, to listen, and to touch something greater than logic and let it lead, even when every instinct said to push harder. He built real things, he moves with force, and he's developed one of the most powerful experiential events I've been inside. But the through line in everything for Preston isn't strategy. It's a consistent, almost stubborn practice of surrender and reaching beyond what he can figure out and trusting what comes back. We talked about what it actually costs to live an expansive life, about the real friction between being spiritual and being financially successful, and why so many people feel like they have to choose. Preston doesn't resolve that tension, he moves inside of it. Quick note, this episode contains explicit language. Please listen accordingly. This is The Living Question. Welcome to the Living Question podcast. And here I have a dear friend and mentor, Preston Smiles. And I'm super excited. I mean, we're using his place and it's an epic setup that we have going on. So thank you. Honored. And can you give yourself like a quick intro?
Yeah,
to the
absolutely.
people.
So for those of you who are unaware of the sexual chocolate that is before you in this moment, my name is Preston Smiles, and I call myself a messenger of love because the message and what comes forward takes different shapes based on what's occurring in my life at the time and where I'm called. Everything is connected to love. And that's the ultimate intention. Now, do I have, 7 houses in real estate? Yes. Do I do nervous system work with people all over the world through my company that I own with my wife, the Bridge Experience? Yes. Do I write books on manifestation and abundance? Yes. Am I a father? Absolutely, yes. Am I a big brother, mentor? Yes. All of these things are ways in which I express the one message, which is love is all there is, was, and ever will be. The thing that I think people need to know, especially hearing this, is I don't come from much. And yet, it's part of why I love so deeply. It's a part of, in my opinion, why success, it can't miss me, because what's under it, the root system, is the same, which is let me make sure that not only am I good, but that anybody who comes into contact with me is good and understands who and what they are and can unhook from the constructs that have had us believing that the amount of money and the cars and what we look like is the definition of success. So my big thing is helping people move out of default and into design. And as they're designing from the truth of their being, not what we've been fed. Because I can design a life that says, I need a Ferrari and I need this and I need that. And that will make me feel like my dig is big. That will make me feel like I'm finally good enough. But it's still built on a lie.
Yeah. And especially with like our work together,
Yes.
The biggest thing that I realized was doing what everyone else thinks that you want to do has taken me like all types of places, but nowhere where I really truly wanted to be. And only after shedding and kind of laying down those pieces of me that were trying to please and like really just make other people happy or do the plan that everyone else had.
Yes.
Then like actual calling came forth.
Yes.
And it makes me super happy as I'm doing it. And even as there's like, I don't have any idea how it's going to go, but it's great.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm never like that.
Yes. It's kind of the best part if you think about it. Like if you knew the full script to every day, it would be so boring. Right? What makes life interesting is not knowing. What makes life interesting is attuning to what the true desire is and then following the desire. Right? When I think about like for example, like a tiger, tigers are supposed to like climb and hunt and do shit that tigers do. And then I go, okay, well, what do humans do? Oh, we have desires.
Mm-hmm.
Desires to build a boat that can travel the seas. We have desires to fly, right? We have desires that create. And then in the creation, everybody else gets to experience and express what other people's desires manifested.
Mm.
So then the question is am I willing to participate in the game? Or am I only going to ride other people's desires?
Yeah. So something that we're exploring in the living question is decisions where logic doesn't make sense or the logic isn't enough. And so I'd love for you to bring us to a moment recently, if possible, that where that happened for you and kind of give us a sense of what was the decision and why didn't it make logical sense?
Oh man, there's so many of these. There's so many. I'll give you a fun one that's a wholesome one. And then if we want to keep going, I'll give you a dirty, hard one. The wholesome one is 13 years ago. I had come out of a feminine cleanse where I was not dating, I wasn't jacking off, I wasn't doing anything. I was just keeping all my chi, all my energy to myself. And I come out of that, and the reason I did it is because I was clear that I believed I was ready to have a wife. And so I cleaned my energy, and then I started dating again, and there was this one epic, beautiful soul named Eva, who I was supposed to go on a blind date with. And the morning that I was supposed to go on the blind date with Eva, I woke up that morning from a weird lucid dream. And the first thought was, you're going to meet your wife today. And I was like, whoa, okay. So I go on to Instagram 13 years ago, and I post a picture in the morning, 6 a.m. I post a picture of two wolves kissing, and those wolves are tattooed on my arm right here. I post a picture of two wolves kissing, and I say, I can feel her coming, ... hashtag wifey, hashtag the queen is on her way. Now, at this moment, I don't know who it is. Maybe it's Eva. Maybe it's not. So fast forward, the night comes, she knocks on the door. I'm going, okay, this might be the moment. She opens the door. I look at her, and an entire wave said, that is not her. Nope. So my logical mind says, end the date, end it. Logic says, don't waste her time, don't waste yours. Logic says, don't do it.
Yeah.
But my intuitive body, and don't get me wrong, I paused. This is a big lesson for all of us. I took a pause because I wanted to move quick. But I paused, I invited her upstairs, I went into my room, and I prayed, and I said, God, am I supposed to go on this date? And a resounding yes came back. Then I,
And like how, because in another way it could be like, oh, I feel bad, right? Like we had this blind date set up and any of that, like how did you know it was a God thing versus like a pleasing or like a
because I was fighting with the answer. So I asked again. I said, God, are you sure? Like, if this is really God, like, for real. Because I don't want to waste her time, but I also don't want to do the thing. And then, like, I don't want to hurt her feelings. And the answer was yes. Resounding yes. My belief is that all of us are being spoken through and connected to something deeper than just what we can touch, taste, feel, and see. And so logic, again, still said, don't go. But the intuitive body said, do. Long story short, I get in the car. We still go to the date. I get to the place. They were late because I was kind of trying to figure out whether I wanted to go or not. I hit every red light on the way to that thing. And on Lincoln Boulevard in Venice Beach, California, driving from Hancock Park to Venice, I hit every red light. And we get there, we run up, and they say, oh my God, we're so sorry. We oversold the show by 10 to 20 seats. We can give you your money back, or you can come in and you can just stand against the wall. And I looked at her and I was like, you want to just go get like a drink or something or do something else? And she was like, no, let's go in. Again, Okay, intuitive hit here. Let's just go with it. We walk in. The guy sits us on the wall. I'm from LA and pretty popular at the time. So there's all these people in the crowd. Hey, what's up, Preston? Doing the thing, and I'm doing the popular guy thing. And then I sit back on the wall. The guy takes a few steps, and as if a lightning bolt hit him, he turns back around. And there was already 20 people lined up. But for some reason, something told him, hey, take them off. So he comes back and says, you know what? I'm going to put you two on the front row. This is an emergency exit situation. So if anything happens, I need you to get up really quickly. Fantastic. He sits me down where you are. My date sits right here. I look at the stage. I look at my date. And right next to her is my wife. And it was as if a lightning bolt struck my entire body. And I was like, oh my God, the wolves, the kissing, you're going to meet your wife. Like it just did like a movie.
Yeah.
All just flashed. And I was like, because I had talked to my wife, Alexi, only through Facebook. And I thought she lived in London.
Oh.
So we had been connected through a friend. She was dating a guy named Jay, who's this superstar, who's been in all the big movies. He's on all the television shows right now. He was in the new Top Gun, everything. She's dating Jay. Vince says, hey, you would be friends with my friend's girlfriend. So we talked for a little bit on Facebook, leave it alone. She ghosts me. Now we're sitting next to each other.
Wow. No
and
way.
it's lightning bolts.
Yeah.
And so now I have to convince her and help her understand that she's my wife. And we're going to spend the rest of our life together, which was this awesome love story. But that's an example of it logically does not make sense. But I went with what was deeper. Threefold beings, body, mind, and soul. Oftentimes we just follow the mind and we don't allow the soul and the body to have the conversation it needs to have.
Yeah, and I noticed that you had said like you could tell the difference when you struggle with the answer. And that is so true. Like it happens in my life where I'm like, really? Should I do that? Are you sure? Right? You sure, God? And I have to take like an extra moment to like check.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I always thought like a real intuition would be one of those things where you just hear it and you do it. It doesn't quite happen that way as often.
Nope. One of the things I wrote about in one of my first books is the distinction between what we would call first thought versus second, third, fourth, and fifth. I tend to follow first thought because first thought is the cleanest thought. After that, it's rational. I'm talking myself out. So I've had moments all over my life where I intuitively, first thought is hug that person, go there, say that thing, pick up your child right now, ask them the thing, don't get on that airplane. I've had those things. And then the second thought goes, bro, they don't need a hug from you. Or, you sure? Because you have an appointment over there. Or, don't do that because you might come off as crazy and people are scared of black people anyway. So just hang back for a second. That's all second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh thought. First thought, the cleanest one, is the one that I tend to try to go with.
Here I'm processing because I'm usually like third, fourth, or fifth.
Exactly. That the third, fourth, and fifth is going through the filter of the world. It's going through the filter of our traumas. It's going through the filters of our programming. Can a good Christian boys make this decision? Can can I do that? Can I be this? As an Asian man, as a Middle Eastern woman, can I have that opinion? That's programming.
Yeah.
But the first thought is usually outside of the programming.
Yeah. And it's usually the one I question the most.
Yes.
I think because it's outside.
Yes.
Right? Then you're like, what's that doing here?
Yes.
Right? And so with those, have you always been like that? Or did you learn to follow the first thought?
Yeah, I learned all of this. There were certain things, there's 7 different intelligences. And in the school system, we only take a few of them and say, these are elevated, If you're good at math and good at English and good at this, you are intelligent. So I was in special needs classes. I was in, and hear me, everybody listening and watching this, I'm doing quotes here. I was in the retarded kids class because that's what it was in the 80s. It was kids who were mentally ill and me. And so I associated their mental illness with my mental illness. But in many ways, none of us had a mental illness. All of us, none of us had a disability. And if we did, we had way more than the quote unquote regular kids. But my programming had me believing that I was dumb. So there's a lot to this that many of us don't really get to sit with. But the point I'm making here is I had, because of the dyslexia, my listening, how I was spatially was off the charts. My understanding and attunement of emotional things and energy happening in rooms, I could catch it in a heartbeat. My mom tells this story of I was graduating from President Ave in Harbor City, California, and they had special awards for the special needs kids. And I got the kindness award. And all the, what do you call those kids who have Down syndrome? All the Down syndrome kids, all the ones who have all the different stuff that we would judge. She said they gave me a standing ovation. And she said that she looked around and all the like nerdy Asian kids and all of them also standing ovation. And the teacher came up to her, and she just told me this recently, and it actually made me kind of like get super emotional. The teacher told her that anytime anybody else was being bullied, I would step in. That anytime somebody else was having a hard moment, I would step in. And that they noticed that and that they wanted my mom and dad to know what type of person I was. Shit. Ooh, let's go.
Yeah. I'm feeling that.
So when you say, have you always been like that? Ish. Ish. I think just ultimately, when you grow up not being seen as good or special, and then you add in like Santa Claus and the fake Jesus and everything else is perfect and white, and you're the exact opposite of what you see. Plus, in this quote unquote diverse school, you're at the fucking bottom. Like we're all little fucking diverse kids, Mexicans, Blacks, Asians, Samoans, all the things, Filipinos, and I'm at the bottom of that too. So I think that there was I think I have always had a special place in my heart for the underdog and for people who get picked on, and for people who are marginalized, and for people who don't see themselves.
Yeah.
And so when it's like sometimes people see me in the cars and the big house and all the things, and the people who know me, oh man, they get emotional. So it's like, fucking yes, finally somebody good won. Finally somebody who really gives a fuck is also winning. You know?
Yeah.
It's a big deal, man.
Yeah.
I'm happy for me. You know?
Yeah. Let's go. And, like just hearing that for me is powerful. Like what's landing for me too is like the kindness that speaks to that. And it's like, no matter what you have around that, like it doesn't make you any more or less of that. It's like what you already have in the core.
Yeah.
And so a part of that around that is, okay, we've got Preston, the kindness award winner, always winning in kindness and like sharing that love. And now you've got the wealth, you've got the houses, you've got the cars. And like, I know for a lot of spiritual people who like really seek spiritually, don't really have the money to like kind of back that side up, right? And I think I think personally, because it's a skill set thing, right? There's a skill set of making money versus a skill set of being spiritual,
Yes.
right? But you've combined the two. You made it the spiritual millionaire, right? And so, can you talk a bit to that of like, why do most people, like, why are most people not able to connect that?
Yes.
And like, what's that about?
Yep. Man, that's a good question. The quick and dirty answer to that is most people have money and spirituality as separate. They have materials and spirituality as opposite or separate things, and or they have been traumatized or hurt by what they perceive to be money or connected to money and things. So they've demonized money or they deified it in such a way that they don't feel like it is them. What I've been able to do and why I wrote that book, Spiritual Millionaire, is to really, like, the core principle that I operate from is there's no place where God is not. I don't believe there's a part of the border or somewhere in the world where God says, no, screw these people. I, with all this power and love, will only grant it for the people who are part of the gang that I have declared the only one gang that there is. So for me, and this is a very hard pill for people to swallow at first, I don't believe in 2 powers or 3 or 7. For me, there's only one power. And that one power only and always says yes. Hitler used the power. Gandhi used the power. The creators of the light bulb used the power. The creator of torture chambers used the power. The distinction between the two is not whether the power says yes or no. It's, do they have the infrastructure for what they're plugging in? It's sort of like electricity. Electricity is like, game on. You want to light this room? Do you have the proper wiring and infrastructure? Do you have the somatic body to hold what you say you want? If you do, plug the room up, plug the TV up, plug the camera up, plug the iPhone, plug the city, plug the world up if you have the infrastructure for it. And so the one God, the one power, only and always says yes. And if I believe to my core that money is an issue, that money corrupts, that money is this, and materials are bad and wrong, and people who have nice cars should go to hell. If I believe that, then the one power says, and so it is. But for me, my Taycan Porsche out there is no different than this shirt. It's no different than this microphone. It's just materials that want to be used. And so it's not the Porsche, it's who's inside of it. It's not the microphone, it's how the microphone is being used. Am I uplifting? Am I imbuing and working with the shirt in such a way that it's sexy and awesome and the colors bring life or just feel good to me? If so, then so it is. Everybody is using materials on the planet. Money is circulating at all times. If you buy a coffee at any point from any Starbucks, you are doing the same thing that everybody else is with money. The question is why is the Starbucks okay, but not the house you desire? Why is the spending it on your hemp shoes or your hippie shit okay, or your mala beads, but you can't spend it on a nice refrigerator? That's programming. That is programming. Money is neither good nor evil. It just is. And it circulates like everything else on the planet, including the air in this room and the air in my body. A body of water without an inlet or an outlet is a swamp, and swamps carry and create dis-ease. So what do I do around money? I say money flow. Money flow. Because I drink this, it comes in, it has to come out.
Yeah.
I keep it all flowing, and I don't have any certain attachment. I have to have this amount or I am terrible, or if I do have this amount, I am great. Fuck. All needs met.
And so what I'm hearing is, as you're doing, like, as people are approaching money, a lot of what we believe is true for money, it's like, well, taking your example of, okay, if I'm a good person and only evil people have fancy cars, then I can believe fully I'm a good person. And therefore, I shouldn't have a fancy car.
Correct.
Even though I tell people, like, I'm going to set that as my next goal.
That. Gas brake, gas brake, gas brake. I can use words, but what I'm emitting, because we're all like antennas. We're all antennas, and we're attracting or repelling based on our antenna. And what's more loud is what your body is emitting.
And where does, like, the word I want to use is, like, restraint or, like, discernment come when you're thinking, like, oh, money should flow, right? Because I might think, like, oh, money should flow, so I'm going to spend, like, 1,000 there, 10,000 there, 100,000 there, and, like, just flow it out, and it'll come back. But, like, that's not quite the picture I'm.
It matters where it's coming from. That's where discernment comes in. Because I can buy, again, I said this earlier. If I go get all the things to make you, because I want you to believe my dick is bigger than yours, then that's not flow. That's actually hatred. It's self-hatred, masked. It's a pig with lipstick on.
Yeah, like posture.
Yes, I put a Birkin bag, I smeared it with poop. And not even that. Poop is great. Poop is fertilizer, but you get where I'm going with it. It's not actual flow if what's under it. And I'll give you an example. I was working with a woman recently in Australia who shared, and she had an amazing body. And she said, I gotta admit, I hate my body. And I've hated it for years. It's why it looks like this. I said, that's a problem. You bought into the idea that your body needs to look a certain way. And so you go and you put filler and Botox and all the different things and you manipulate it based on whatever is popular at the moment. That's not real love. Now, if you want to be strong, for example, I work out not because I want to look like some X, Y, and Z. Even the guys at the gym I go to, they know I'm the big dog in the gym. And all of them are stronger and bigger than me and all the things. But I'm the big dog in the gym, not because I'm better than them. I'm the big dog in the gym because I don't need to get somewhere in order to know who the fuck I really am and what my Father and Mother God is doing through me. There's no bar I need to get to. I just do it for the sake of strength, vitality, for the sake of being there for my kids, for the sake of being able to express and imbue and operate from a certain level of vitality that I can express a message that reaches into people's hearts and actually lifts them up and reminds them of who they are, minus all the stuff society tells them they want. So we're playing two different games. And let me just say this last piece. I've been teaching my students for the last 15 years that there's only two games ever happening. Ever, ever, ever. Game number one, outside in game. If my wife says I'm cute, if the weather is perfect, if my kids aren't crying the night before, if I got enough likes or Instagram followers, if my booty looks a certain way in this dress, then I will be happy. I will be grateful. I will have a good day. That's game number one. Game number two, which is the one we all get to play, is I am perfect, whole, and complete, but not finished, a unique emanation of the Most High. And all that I do out in the world is an expression of that. And I know that all my needs are actually met. So everything out there is a cherry on top. It does not make and it does not break. I am the cake. Will I take a cherry or a strawberry on top? Fantastic. But with or without that cherry, I'm still the cake. That.
Yeah. Well, that was the end to that question. And you know what's coming to me is like those two games, right? It's seems to me like as I reflect on my life, it's so easy to flip flop between the two, and it's like, but what I'm sensing is when you talk about that, you need to go out there and like what circulation means, right? Because we were talking about, okay, like what's the difference between circulating money versus just spending money?
That.
And the big, like, what I'm grasping from that is when you're circulating money, it's out of like to advance your purpose.
Yes.
And when you're just spending money, it's almost to like to please or to try to fill in something that money's not supposed to fill in, like insecurities and whatnot.
That.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
And I would just add the caveat of circulating, not just to advance my purpose or whatever is, up for me, but circulating to advance other people, to lift others. Like, to me, one of the main reasons why I'll say this differently, why I experience richness, not just internally, but externally, is because you cannot find many people in the world, and I've been on this planet almost 46 years, who will say anything other than that's a real ass dude who gives a fuck. And so when push comes to shove, I've seen a million influencers come and go, and I'm still here. I'm still here, and not just here, I'm still here and thriving because there's something underneath that still runs me. And it's that there are no throwaway humans. Some people pretend at the top. Their leaves say, I'm here for us. Let's all help each other. But their roots say, no, you're a piece of shit. And I just want to be better than you. I just want your money. I want it to keep flowing towards me so that I stay rich. And I'll give you a little here and there to make sure that you still stay on the hook, but I don't want you to actually win. This is one of the things, it's a pet peeve of mine in especially the self-development, motivational speaking space. These motherfuckers are fake. And not all, but some. And fake shit can't last.
Yeah.
It just can't last. Even if it takes 30 years, it won't stick. What is done in the dark always finds its way to the light. And so what I tend to do, and I'm not saying I don't have darkness, I have darkness. I have done things that are major mistakes to the personality. From a soul level, they worked out exactly how they were supposed to be. From a personality level, I have done stupid shit that I regret. And ultimately, what it ended up producing, not just for myself, but for people involved, was beautiful. So I don't believe in throwaway people. I don't believe in hierarchical situations. I think hierarchical situations in situational awareness. So for example, if I'm a firefighter or you're a firefighter, you are higher than me. And I'm going to come train and learn from you. Not because I'm below as a human, but I'm below as a firefighter.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Skill.
Yes.
Right? Like where you go to a place of higher skill to raise that skill.
That.
Right?
That.
Yeah, makes sense. And so that's a perfect thing. We're talking about the industry. And as I've experienced personal development, like for me, it started as mind over matter. Right? Like you got Tony Robbins, right? That was my first one, and Jim Rohn and all of those guys. Then I realized like, oh, mindset's not enough. So I went like for emotional, and then I went for like spiritual. And then after a while, I circled back around to embodiment. And you've been in the embodiment field for like a decade.
Yes.
Right? But it feels like now everyone's moving into embodiment. So I'd imagine that's exciting for you, right? Because you guys have been like,
Yes.
you've built the infrastructure,
Facts.
right, for that wave. And I'm excited for you. But like, are you experiencing that are you experiencing it in that way too? Because for me, it was like embodiment wasn't really on my radar until maybe a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like now, people I didn't think were doing embodiment are talking about embodiment. And I'm like, is this just like the, what is it, the RAC, where you just notice things that you're into now? Or is it a real like flow from mental
It's real.
mastery over to
Correct.
both?
That it's people, seekers, seek.
Yeah.
And what happens for most of us, if we're really seekers, is we graduate, we learn, and we evolve with the learnings. And so there are many people who, you know, perceive that if I meditate enough, nothing, I can meditate above all life. And they realized that we're still in these bodies. There are people who believe that if you just believe it and say it and believe it and write down your gratitudes and X, Y, and Z, then all things will manifest. And they were immature. Me too. And there's a moment where you mature, and maturity and life tends to flow towards goodness. And yes, we've been in this space a long time. I've been tooting this horn for way longer than most people. And it's cool to see how many people are waking up and understanding how important the nervous system is, how important it is. Also, Jason, science has gotten better. The science we had 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago is not the science we have right now. And so as science and all the literature, all the things start evolving, so do the humans, so do the messengers, so do the people holding space. And for me, it's really cool. I genuinely appreciate and love that more and more people are understanding how important embodiment and nervous system are, and how you can say words to the cows come home, and you can NLP things to the cows come home. But until your body is on board, until that we understand that this thing has its own intelligence, not much will shift.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like the nervous system intelligence, right? Because it's not just your body. Like it's a whole, like you said, it's like a whole antenna that gives us access to things that we don't even know. And I think that's the biggest part of the shift that's been happening, which is like, oh, like it's all not enough. And I wonder, like, could this be the next thing? And then there's likely another layer underneath after that.
Here's what I believe. I believe that life is like this. It's a circle. And a lot of people sell that it is a ladder, that you go from here to there, and then you've ascended and it's over.
You're beyond all of your
Correct.
old problems. And yeah.
Everybody still has to take a shit. And if I punched the Dalai Lama in his neck, his body would still respond. And if I choked Deepak Chopra, especially since he was in those files, right? His body, no matter how much meditating he does, the body would do something. Jason, I've had the gift and the PTSD with that gift to see people die bloody deaths. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've been right there when their brains are on the ground and they're struggling for another breath. I've seen it and been there.
Yeah.
And that has changed how I operate, because in those moments, all the books we've ever read don't matter. In those moments, my fancy clothes don't matter. The car I drove in doesn't matter. What matters in those moments is another breath. And the body will fight for that breath. And so for me, yeah, it's cool and it's interesting. And we more than likely will figure out and really lock into the body and the nervous system. And then all of that will then match up with mindset. Right? Now let's get into some mindset work. Yeah. Now let's get into some X, Y, and Z. Right? Yeah. Some motivation. Because now I have a body, I have a nervous system. I have an infrastructure that can plug up in a whole different way. I can feel it now. Yeah. You know how many people do shit that they never feel? They can't experience it. Like, I wish we all had like a black light that you could walk around and see who's really on, like who's really walking their talk. Because I am moved by life. I am lifted by this motherfucker. And I'm not saying that to just say I'm better, but to me, the game, there's information, there's transformation, and there's demonstration. And my work is demonstration. Leaders not just know the way, they go the way and show the way. How do I show it?
Yeah.
You be it. You be it. Right? I'm jumping on the trampoline with my kids yesterday. We're playing a towel game where I swipe their legs with the towel and they fall, and then I tickle them and bite their stomachs, and it's the whole like thing. We do it every day. Right? Can I be it in those moments? Can I be it in traffic when the guy says, "Oh, you got it"? Can I come back to what's true? What's real? What's at stake? What's going on with that man's nervous system? It's real, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's heavy.
Yes, it can be.
Well, because the other thing is like, okay, let's say we buy all of it. We're like, okay, embodiment. That's what I'm going to do. Right. What's the cost to embodiment?
Yeah. Your old life, your old lens. Right? You put a new lens on. You focus differently. You might go, wait a minute. Do I still want to be in this relationship like this? Do I still want to subject myself or walk into Thanksgiving and let my uncle say all that racist shit? Does that still work for me? Do I still want to chase this thing? Because I started going after, I wanted to build a $30 million business, bruh. But why? Because I got bullied in junior high school. And I want to prove to the bullies that I'm richer than all of them. Cool. Well, now that I'm embodied, I no longer need to prove that.
Yeah. And do you have because embodiment is in levels, right? And I'm imagining you're going through embodiment even now as you're.
Yes.
So can you give us an example of you embodied a certain level and then you released or said no to certain things that you used to do that you.
Yes. So let me just go to this angle before I do that. What tends to happen for people is they get into personal development, and the moment they read their first, 4 agreements book or whatever the case may be, they walk over to a horse, a high horse, and they get on top of that horse and they say, now that I have read the 4 agreements, I am embodied and I know more than you.
Right.
And they confuse embodiment with information. Embodiment is when you don't have to think. So, for example, before we started this, you said, would you like to see the questions?
Yeah.
And my answer was what? No.
Yeah. I want to be tapped in.
That. The reason why I say no and I never want to see the questions is because it's already there. That's embodiment. There are people who do podcast interviews and things of that nature, and they want to know absolutely everything because they want to memorize a script so that they can look a certain way. I don't give a fuck. Why? Because I know what's really happening. Everything I talk about is not shit that I philosophize about. It's stuff I live. That's embodiment. And everybody on the other side of this camera and you are embodied in certain areas. All of us are embodied in certain areas. The question is can you take the embodiment in finances where you're like, oh, got it, right? I have a buddy, he day trades. He's in the pocket every day. He sends me a screenshot. 50,000 in the last 2 hours, brother. He's embodied, right? For me, I'm scared every time. I'm like, will this stock do what it's supposed to do, right? I'm not embodied there. Everybody's embodied somewhere. So the question is, and the game is, okay, what are the attributes? What occurred where I can figure skate like I do? I went snowboarding with some friends recently, and they're flying down the mountain. I'm going 2 miles per hour and stopping every time because I'm not as embodied as them. Does that make sense?
That'd be me too.
That'd be you too, exactly. Right? So,
slow.
The beautiful being behind these cameras is embodied with these cameras. It's not something that I'm getting there. I'm in the process. And a part of the embodiment with these cameras and these equipment and these microphones is doing it more. And here's the key for all of us. The key is getting around people who are embodied in what you want to be embodied in. I would tell my kids that every day, no matter what. They said, Dad, what's one piece of wisdom? Whatever you want to be embodied in, pay that person money, go hang out with them, figure out what they got, let it bleed onto you. Then when it's there, then you go get the next thing, or you just enjoy what you just got from that person.
And
What?
like when you say embodied like that, it's like almost like a skill build kind of attitude.
Ish. It starts that way.
Yeah.
Right? You learn the rules so you can break them. So if I wanted to be a great jazz player, I would have to learn the skills and or guitar, the 12-bar blues. I'd have to I try to figure it out. Then once I got the 12-bar blues, then I can add art to it. Now I can break the rules on the 12-bar blues and go off this way and then come back and then all of a sudden we are in this orchestra because we all are embodied. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you know the rules so you can break them. Yes, you're clunky and you're doing it. It seems like a skill, but some of it's not skill. Some of it's energetics.
Yeah. So how would you separate like someone who's embodied versus someone who's skilled?
Yes.
Because
Yes, here it is. You separate them by when things go wrong. You'll instantly know who's embodied when shit hits the full fan. Because as long as it's sunny outside, I'm embodied.
yeah.
But when there is a category 7 hurricane, can I bring that same energy?
So like your day trader friend,
Yes.
like losing 50K versus gaining 50K.
Facts. That.
So like when he's embodied, like you'd see even in the loss.
Yes. And I've seen that for him.
Yeah.
Even in the loss. He's like, psh, forget it. We'll do it again tomorrow. Right?
Yeah.
That's not how my body responds when I lose 50,000, but that's how his body responds, right? To that particular thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And can you give an example for them like that's more tangible then on the embodied versus skilled? Like if you're to explain like, Cash is like, what does that mean? Like I want to go, what's he into? Like
Yes. So here's an example with my son. I have 4 children. One of them is a very challenging human being, and he is awesome. And as a father, first thing we have to establish for all of us is that all of us have a window of tolerance. A window of tolerance, a threshold for how much we can hold. And embodiment usually means that I have stretched my window of tolerance out to be able to hold the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. Some people only have a tolerance and a window of tolerance for when their child is acting right. And right, relative to whatever right is. But the moment the child is outside of that window, then they beat their child, they punish their child, they hit their child, they psychologically abuse their child because their window of tolerance is too small. So with my son Cash, who could be labeled as a difficult child, he is not. He is just a child. My embodiment has gone further than my dad and my mom. That's how I know for me, because where he goes, I would have gotten destroyed. I have gotten destroyed and beat and harmed in such a way that I would not do those things again. And my work as a dad is to keep stretching my window of tolerance to be able to hold his tantrums, hold the moments where we say, like, for example, we put the kids to bed every night. And every night, Cash gets out of his bed and walks right into our room and says, nah, I'm sleeping with y'all. And every single night, like, bro, go back to your bed, Cash. He's like, no, I don't think so, bro. No, all the other kids are like, all right, we shall listen to the bed gods, right? But for him, he's like, no, screw you. I'm sleeping next to you two, and I'm going to be looking at mommy doubtfully while I do so. And sometimes I fight him on that. And the piece, here it is, it's the nuance. I still hold the masculine pole and the discipline. And so I will remove him from that bed. But what makes me embodied or not embodied is how I remove him from that bed. Do I remove him from my own personality's anger? Or do I remove him from the dad who loves him enough to not allow him to run our house? Do I remove him as the dad who understands that my wife needs space to wind down from the day? Do I remove him as the dad who understands that the other children are watching this process and learning subconsciously that the rules are different for different kids? All of that is the difference between embodiment and not. Same action. I can remove him exactly the same, but the energy behind it determines whether I'm embodied or not.
Well, it's a lot of food for thought, for sure. And, I'd love to keep going, but we're just about to wrap here. And, something I've been testing is the reason why it's called the living question is because it's what we are kind of all about, right? What am I living right now? The question that I'm looking to answer. And my question right now is, all right, like, let's say I've already gone out there and done all the stuff. I've stopped doing what sparks joy or what doesn't give me joy and all of those things. But my plate is still full. If anything, it's more full, but it's full of all this aligned stuff. And like, what do you do when you're full of you have this plate, right? And you don't need to answer that one. But I'd love for you to answer like what your current living question is. But before that, how can they find you?
Yeah. Well, if anywhere on the internet, if you just put in @Preston Smiles, you'll find me. The main place that would probably be best would be my website, which is prestonsmiles.com. With that said, 15 years ago, I was in a class studying to be a reverend under the Church of Religious Science. And in that class, we were reading a book called The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. And there was a moment in that class where I was reading a section where Ernest Holmes said to get your questions answered and your answers questioned. And my entire mind exploded.
Say that again.
Exactly. The same response you just had, I had. It said, get your questions answered.
Okay.
And your answers questioned.
Hmm.
And it literally turned my brain like that. I was like, and I came back and I was like, I got it. I instantly got it. Most of us ask from the level of personality, and the level of personality is wrapped. It's wrapped with social and historical programming. It's wrapped with linguistic programming. It's wrapped with how the body has responded to traumas and things that have occurred in our lives. So the personality asks the question, why am I so fat? Why isn't this working? Why can't I make any money? And God is sort of like Google, where anything you put into it, it just has to say yes and give you articles to prove. And so putting that into Google or chat already is happening from a paradigm that does not work. And so what he was suggesting is whatever you type in, the moment it gives you an answer, then question your question and question the answer. And it just, it opened a portal for me. And the answer to your question, what question am I living in? I'm living in the ... maybe. Maybe it goes this way. Dot, dot, dot. Maybe it goes that way. Can I be rested? Like a pillow, just sitting on a cloud with either one. That's what I'm working with.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. It was wonderful having you on. We're going to have to do it again soon. And thanks for listening, guys.